What up, everybody on a Wednesday, A2HH Live. We got Position in the building. What's going
What
on with
up,
everybody, man?
man? Marinating. How y'all feeling over there?
Oh, man, we good, man. What's going on with you over there, Coop?
I'm
Yeah,
good,
I'm
man.
cool.
I'm chilling. How y'all doing?
All
Doing
good.
great.
How y'all New Year's?
Happy New Year to everybody,
Happy
too.
New Year. Yeah.
We,
All good.
we could
All
jump
good.
right into it, man. I know you were
Right.
just telling us, Position, how you hooked up with Bone Thugs and Harmony. Bone Thugs
Yeah.
and Harmony's DJ, and then give y'all might recognize him from the Verzuz stage as well. And yeah, just tell the people briefly, just how you hooked up with Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Yeah. So, um, I met Crazy Bone long time ago through a female named Tanya Duche, and she was running Rap Page magazines, and I was trying to get my music and all that shit featured on there, and we linked up, and then when she heard the music, she just looked and was like, really impressed, and that she kept telling me I know Crazy Bone, and we good friends, whatever, and I was like, all right, cool. And the next day, she brought him to the studio, him and Keith G, and we said what's up, shit like that, and it got done real quick, and was like, where the music at? So I just started pressing play. By the time I got to track number 2, that's when we ended up doing a song called "Welcome to the Alley." We worked on it the same day we met. We actually finished the song the next day, and we actually lost contact
Mm.
because I was arguing with my ex chick at the time and shit. Nigga got caught up fucking with different broads, whatever. And the bitch was like, "Yeah, I'm take all this equipment, and I helped you buy it and all that." So I was like,
Wow.
whatever. Got mad, threw my motherfucking phone in the wall, cracked my shit, and lost contact with him for like almost a year. And keep Crazy Bones looking for a nigga and shit. Eventually, fast forward, we ended up linking up, and here we are.
Damn, that was meant to happen.
Facts.
That was meant to happen. Go ahead, Coop.
No, I mean, that's just like a great story. I was thinking what you were thinking. That's one of those things that's meant to be. And I was thinking every brother probably has like a crazy chick story that's kind of comparable to the one Position just gave to.
Oh, man, at that time, I was really living that situation. I was fucking with 2 different bras, and then I thought I had another broad pregnant, which was like the 3rd or the 4th chick I was fucking with, and finally got caught up. Dumbass came to the house with a monkey bite on my neck, and that turned into a big ass argument and all that shit.
This is great stuff. No. That's great. I love the backstory behind it. So I want to know, like, what's some of your more memorable times with Bone? Like, are there any shows or any like moments that really stand out to you where you're like, oh no, like I'm a part of like history, like part of hip hop history by being with this group at this time with this moment?
Um, it happens all the time, honestly.
Oh,
Like it's not like a more memorable moment. I feel like for me, it keeps getting bigger and bigger until eventually I can do what I do as Position. I've been blessed, man. I can't complain. We all go through like ups and downs, like normal human beings do. But for the most part, I've been blessed to be a part of a lot of big situations, from the hip hop fest to a whole lot of the Once Upon a Time in LA, Once Upon a Time in Long Beach, and we can keep going, to being able to DJ and be a part of when they did the hologram for Easy E, and
Oh,
and to step down and watch DJ Yella do his thing while they did the whole For the Love of Money and all that other shit. You know what I'm saying? Like just being able to be a part of all of that, man, and all the way up to the verses. You know what I'm saying? And all of it's good memories, and being able to travel. I think, fucking with Bone, I think I done covered like 17 different countries.
oh wow.
You know, and not just having to only be a DJ to be out there performing as well, whether, you know what I'm saying, it's a couple hundred for myself, or, you know, me being able to perform in front of like 8,000-9,000 motherfuckers by myself, you know, just opening up for them and shit. So it's and you know, it's still happening.
So how did you hear about the? I guess what's the backstory with the Verzuz? Because I know originally, right, Crazy Bone and DJ Paul were gonna do it, and I know we were even covering that like right when that happened, and it got called off last minute, and then it revamped like a year later. Like, what's the whole backstory with the 3-6 and Bone Verzuz? I guess for people that don't know, and like, when did you find out like it was official?
Well, this time we found out it was official probably like a couple weeks before this shit happened. You feel me? But yeah, we when the pandemic shit started, there was a conversation. Y'all the first people that's gonna hear about this, so I'm gonna just let it out. There was a conversation that me and the homie Kane had over the phone. And I remember it like it was motherfucking yesterday, because my brother had just got stabbed by his bitch on July 4th. So July 5th, I'm outside. You know, they won't let nobody inside the hospital. So I'm outside. We just talking or whatever. I'm just chilling. And I'm on the phone with him. And we talking about the whole Verzuz and all that. And me and Kane get to talking. And I don't remember which one of us it was. And motherfuckers was like, you know what? We need to do a Verzuz with Bone and 3-6, because the Life Apparel is cool with 3-6. They do business as far as merch and shit like that. And, you know, Crazy Bone is doing an album with DJ Paul. And so, you know, we're like, man, that should be dope as fuck. And, you know, he's like, man, you need to call this person, you need to call that person. We just started doing our little calls. And, you know, whatever happened, it didn't happen for a reason. But then you get in to the hands of somebody as powerful as Steve Lobel to make them connections happen. And, you know, fast forward to 2021, or December, whatever it was, December 2nd or some shit. It turned out wonderful. So it turned out crazy.
Oh, definitely.
So Bell for really making it happen.
So you said y'all only really got word 2 weeks before. So like, how much practice time did you guys get in, and was Busy active in the practice sessions, if there were like some that were able to like get in? Because 2 weeks isn't a lot of time to like, you know, get something of that magnitude together. I mean, it is, but it isn't, if you ask me.
Busy was definitely active in the rehearsal. We had probably like a week, you know what I'm saying, to rehearse, like, you know what I'm saying? So like a few days and shit, but everything turned out, you know, pretty dope. Just, you know, seeing everybody together and shit.
No, I was only asking because Busy is all often like separated from the group, like by the media and in the media's eyes. And so even with like the circumstances that happened with it, it's something that kind of separated himself from the group again. So I just wanted to know what the cohesion was like, you know, prior to like the show and the build up to, obviously.
Yeah, like I said, man, I mean, whatever they do together or separate, you know what I'm saying? That's on them. But when it came to this, and it came being a part of it, Busy was part. So, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's him being there or him calling me, like, what's the play, or this is what I want to do. You know, him calling, you know, other members of the group, you know what I'm saying? Us having calls on Zoom and shit like that. Like, you know, everybody was pretty active with each other.
Good.
And, you know what I'm saying, putting their input on what they wanted to do and shit like that.
One of the questions I had as a fan watching it, because we covered it live like the night it happened, right? The Verzuz. Yeah. And I know when 3-6 came out there, what did they open up with? They opened up with Who Run It, I believe. And it was like 5 verses that got put down, right? And I was thinking like just structurally, right? And because I know you DJ'd the event, I'm thinking like, okay, well, what's the time constraints here? Because you know with verses, they normally cut you off like after the first verse. And so I didn't know if like just from a viewer standpoint, if everybody was able to get all this stuff in, or was there like a specific time constraint, you know, for each round? Because it seemed like it was kind of like a free for all at first.
Yeah. We were literally supposed to have anywhere from 90 seconds to 2 minutes.
Okay.
There was songs that I was like, no, we need to do this, do that. But, you know, they were literally told at the time, like, no, you know, do this or they're going to cut it off. You know, just like you said. So I was like, all right, cool. So the tricky part is that there is 5 members in the group.
Mm-hmm.
And how do we get everybody to get their verses in 90 seconds to 2 minutes? So, all right, you know, we're going to do Busy and Wish on this song. We're going to do Cray on this song. We're going to do this or whatever. And, you know, once they say, all right, that's what it is, that's what it is. And, you know, I had a feeling that niggas was going to do old songs and shit like that. But, you know, we just try to stay within the guidelines and shit like that. So it was what it
was. Well, let me ask you something kind of to follow up with that. So, like Mike and I kind of like talked about it, like with the verses, previewing it and after, like one of the toughest things was that there was 5 members. And it was kind of like, were y'all in a situation where it's like, are we going to pick the people's like favorite verse from these songs and have that person go to kind of give them their run? Like for me, like East 1999 is one of Bone's like best records, but the last verse, that's Wish at the end, right? The last verse,
Yeah.
Like that's the showstopper on there for me. So it's like I would want to hear that verse on that record. So what was like the decision-making process like in terms of like picking verses? Because you got, I mean, one of the great things about Bone is the fact that like mostly everybody's on every song together. So you got a lot of verses to cover.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, that's the tricky part when it comes to like time and coming to who's going to do what, because, you know, it's like, okay, Cray did 4 verses. Like you get 20 songs, Cray did 4 verses. This person did 5 verses. This person did 3. And it's like, okay, we have to divide that up by, you know, however many. And then when you got songs like that, one verse is like damn near a minute long already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we already taking into the fact like, damn.
If you do the hook.
And you can't cut them in half either. You know what I mean?
And East 99 don't have a fucking hook until the end of the song.
Right. That's what I mean. If I were to hear that, I would just want to hear his verse and then the hook at the end. That's about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's pretty dope that you wanted to hear Wishbone's verse and then the hook. You feel me? So
yeah,
you know, and like that's the tricky part of like would want to hear what.
Right.
You know?
That's what I mean. It was like, did y'all just kind of like go with like, you know, like personal like vibe within the crew, or was it more like People's Choice Awards type of thing, like with it?
Everything.
Some of both.
Everything was a group decision.
Okay.
And with that being said, to piggyback off of that, everybody had something to say about the fact that they didn't hit first of the month. Like, what's the story behind, you know, first of the month not being in the verses for Bone?
Just a lot going on, and with the people on the side, it was like, okay, we got from 6 left. All right, we got from 6 went to like 4, then 4 went to like we got 3, then 3 went to we got 1 left, and it's like, oh shit, wait a minute, hold up. So that's
okay. So I mean, I guess that goes back to what Mike was saying earlier, though. It seemed to all of us watching that 3-6 was getting to perform like full songs. So was somebody from the crew like, hey, like we need to like, you know, we need to get these off, you know?
Nah. On that never crossed anybody's mind. Like we need to get full songs off. That part nobody said nothing about.
Yeah.
We need to get off.
Cause I mean, yeah,
it would have been dope. It would have been dope, and you know, I wanted to. A couple people was like, "Nigga, you should have just pulled out this song and that song." Like, you know, I didn't want to cut off Thuggish Ruggish Bone. That full song was ready to play. You feel me?
I mean, First of the Month might be like Bone's like most full and notable song where you might want to run through the whole song. I think that's why it kind of seemed like Mike and I talked about it. It's tough even deciding who has the best verse on that song because everybody's so great on there. And so it makes you think, let's run that record because they ran some of their records.
I mean,
and you know what's great about that? The fact that by the song not even getting played, the song ended up being #1 on Trilla's Billboard.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying? So everything has its way of working itself out.
You know that.
You know what I'm saying? Even whether the song didn't get played or whatever people want to say, you know what I'm saying? And I told a couple people, I take the hit on that. It's whatever. Like, everybody's going to look at the DJ no matter what happens. But it's just crazy because of that song not being played. Everybody went and fucking looked for the song and played the shit. So,
like you said, though, it was a group decision. Like, I don't think any verses is like on the DJ completely. Like, I mean, all of y'all collectively came together and had a game plan. So, yeah, I don't think that's fair that they want to put that on the DJ. But
I mean, it's cool. I ain't tripping. I'll be the bad guys. Whatever. You know,
were there any? Go ahead.
Now, what up?
No, go ahead.
No, I was about to say, like, a couple of us wanted to match energy with, you know, songs that they played. And, you know, a couple of us was like, you know what, let's just stick to the script and you know, whatever else. And, you know, just everything played out the way it played out, man. It was just crazy how the shit ended off. But
well, that's funny that you say that because that's kind of what I was going to ask you was that did y'all stick to the script or did y'all call any audibles based on what they were playing?
No, we ended up calling a couple audibles after Busy Bone walked off stage.
Okay.
That's when some of the audibles happened.
Okay.
You feel me? You know, after the whole situation went down, you know, everything, you seen how the stage just got real packed real quick, full of niggas and shit like that. So, like, fuck, we just gonna get back to the music. And, you know what I'm saying? It would have been dope to play First of the Month right there. It would have been dope to play a few songs. I had probably at least like a good 10 bangers just in the cut.
Shoot 'em up.
I had Shoot 'em Up. I had Everyday Thing.
Everyday Thing,
yep.
Yes.
Everyday Thing's me and Mike's favorite Bone record.
Yeah, it's my favorite Bone record.
Or before we started the actual work, all of us, including Hearst, doing an a cappella version of Me Killah.
You know, speaking of which, I think Everyday Thing would have been another one that I would have loved to heard him just the way he started it off on that song. Like, he set that up. He set that song off.
Those are his two best verses to me, Mike. His verse on Everyday Thing and the verse on East 1999.
I like him on Mo Murder and First of the Month too, actually. But
yeah,
he got some stuff. They can all spit. I think one of the things that the verses really did expose for Bone in a good way is how dope they all are as MCs. Like it reminded me, I'm like, oh yeah, these guys all can rhyme their ass off, and their breath control is amazing.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So that was like one of those things that was like revealing about it. Like artistically speaking, it's like, oh yeah, them dudes can really rhyme, and it like takes talent to be able to hold your breath and weave on it like that. You know. So that was like the thing about it.
All facts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it finally came together. We've been waiting on it for like a year and a half. So, you know, it definitely exceeded expectations altogether. I didn't know what to expect from 3 6s in. And so with them bringing Terrence Howard and all that out, that really wasn't, where I was coming from with it from a 3 6 fan standpoint.
You know what's crazy, bro? Not to cut you
No,
off.
go ahead.
I expected it, but I distinctively like remember niggas asking like, what if they play hard out here for a pent? And I was like, nigga, them niggas better not even think about playing that song unless they bring Terrence Howard out. And that motherfucker dropped that.
I think what it was too, like for them, it kind of showed that they had they changed so much. And I think with Bone's, track list and the verses, it showed everything that Bone fans wanted to hear. Because I'm a fan of both groups, right? But it's certain 3-6 stuff that I'm really not that much of a fan of. And they played that stuff. And it was like, yeah, I like the fact that Bone did stick with, the Bone culture.
Right. Yeah, being there, you would have had to hear like the crowd's reaction. And
what was the crowd's reaction like?
Being on YouTube and IG Live, it's a different feel, different reaction. And, everybody could just comment on what they see on camera, and they try to hear the crowd's reaction, but they ain't gonna be able to hear everything like that.
What was the crowd like?
But like when it was time to do certain songs, you heard the crowd singing word for word. You know what I'm saying? Like when that I Don't Give a Fuck came on, shit went bananas.
Then you know what? Coop brought that song up. He knew that song had to be played, and yeah, that was a good one. That was one I wasn't thinking of off top. And that's crazy, me being from Atlanta too.
Yeah, it's a banger.
Yeah, it's a super banger, man. And there was a few songs where it's like you literally heard when Buddha Lovers came on, bro. Before the shit happened, when Buddha Lovers came on, the crowd was singing word for word.
Somebody in the chat said Bone had home court advantage when it came to the crowd.
Well, that's what everybody said.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Hold on, Position. I got like a hip hop head question for you, right quick. Since we got you here, what's the better weed smoker song, Buddha Lovers or Bud Smokers Only?
For me, Buddha Lovers.
Yeah, me too. And I love Bud Smokers Only.
I'm Bud Smokers Only, but yeah.
For me, Buddha Lovers, because
it's the end of Bud Smokers Only that gets me. With Crazy,
yeah,
where he's ad-libbing,
yeah.
I mean that whole Earth, Wind and Fire Reason sample's dope too. So yeah, but I think the whole thing like Bud Smokers, not Bud Smokers Only, Buddha Lovers. I had never heard nothing like that at the time in hip hop. I mean, taking myself back to the time when it came out, I ain't never heard anything like that.
No, that's true. No, those are facts.
And just speaking as a DJ on that part, just reaction, crowd patient. You know what I'm saying? It gets them every time and shit because it's like a fucking weed anthem. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
All right.
I remember there being like this mythical notion that there was a video for Buddha Lovers. This is back in like 95, 96. I didn't actually see that video until YouTube came about. But it was one of those things where people had said that there was a video that exists for it, and it actually did. But it was like, nah, nigga, you lying. You didn't see that video. It actually existed.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But before we get up out of here, man, is there anything you want to, leave the audience with? I know you say y'all might be about to hit the road.
Yeah, no, we hopefully this motherfucking pandemic shit don't fuck everything up. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to be on the road again. Doing some a couple shows this month, a few shows in February. I got another album about to drop called Built for It All, and I got another album dropping out coming out this summer and shit. I don't want to say the name of that yet, but it's dope as fuck. Just working, man. That's it. And I'm doing some other shit that's like I'm just full of surprise.
Well, yeah, definitely come back and holler at us when the albums drop, too. And, you know what I'm saying, we can talk about those, too.
Facts. Got to, man.
Of course, man. Of course. You got anything, Coop, before we get out of here?
No, I just want to thank you for coming on and talking to us, giving us some insight. It was really good talking to you. It was great, Yeah.
Yeah, all day, man. When I come back out y'all way, man. Hopefully I'll be back turned up with a couple drinks in my hand and shit like that. I ain't drinking right now. I be taking like a couple months off to let my body reset and shit.
No,
That's
good to
what's
take
up.
breaks.
We talked.
Yeah,
I talked to Kane a few weeks back. He was actually supposed to be on. He had like issue where he couldn't. Our time was getting messed up, but he said he gonna be in Atlanta, and we all gonna hook up anyway. So I was telling him about this studio space that we're working on, and we're gonna do some building. So we all need to connect.
Yeah. Definitely going down, bro. Appreciate that shit.
All day, all day.
Hit us when you get to the A, fam.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, we on, bro. Shit, and I need some good ass soul food when I get to the A.
Of course.
Yeah.
We got you. We'll point you in the right direction.
Yeah.
I haven't had no Hennessy. It's been a year since I had any Hennessy, so I think I might try to switch back a little bit and get some.
There it is.
You know what I'm saying? Just turn bucket.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Happy New Year, and again, appreciate you coming through, giving us a little bit of insight about what you saw, and I can't wait to hear the new music too.
All day. Appreciate y'all.
Of course.
All day.
All right. Yeah. I think we there.
Y'all got.
Oh yeah. Let me hang you up over here. Position. Let's see.
Okay.
Boom. Gotcha. All right. Yeah, we went right into it. Shout out to everybody in the room right now. We got like 106 people in the room. Good little interview. Good way to start off the show. Coop, how you doing? I know You there?
Blessed and highly favored. Peace to all.
Yeah. I think that was some really interesting insight. I know we were supposed to do that a few weeks back, but people's schedules and all of that. So we finally got Position on, and I'm glad he was able to clarify some things. Everybody talking about that first of the month thing. That I knew that had to be a group decision, but it happens.
So it was insightful stuff. You know what I mean? It was good talking to him. And I kind of like, it's always good kind of like talking to artists and DJs and people connected, but also like doing their own thing too. So you can kind of like catch the wave and the vibe of what they have going on, Because
like he said, man, you can't really gauge the crowd of versus, watching it on TV or your computer or whatever.
No, that was a very astute assessment that he made.
That's one of the things that people don't even talk about when it comes to Verzuz. And you have to be able. I think that's a big part of the process. Not the process. That's not the word I'm looking for. The experience. You can't have the biggest part of a live show experience is the crowd, the performer and the crowd, and those two engaging. And I think Verzuz has become so commercialized where originally it started out where it was just like, okay, I'm here playing my songs and you're at your crib playing your songs. That there was no audience involved. But when they start getting the audience involved, that becomes a player in this whole Verzuz thing, and that's something that we just can't see as viewers and fans.
You're right. I mean, he spoke to a lot of things behind the scenes that like go unseen, you know? So
I think those are some things that Verzuz could possibly improve on. I don't know if it calls for them to do some sort of a tour with that, but I don't know. I don't think that it's hard for you to be able to, showcase that during a live because we see live things happen anyway.
Right.
And people are in the chat talking about Magic. Go ahead.
No, I mean, they've done a lot with Verzuz in a little bit of time, so it makes it seem like it's been around longer than it has. So we're going to give them some leeway in terms of taking time to build out something more organizational and structural live in terms of like the ability to ad-lib and deal with circumstances as they come.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's get into the show title, right?
Right.
It has come to our attention, as it always seems to, that HipHopDX, very credible website in years past. I've gone to them for a lot of new music. They were criticizing the sales of Nas's Magic project. It says, Nas and Hit-Boy's surprise Magic album makes a dismal Billboard 200 debut. And not to just go on the title of things, I went through and read the article. Did you read the article?
I did.
Okay. I found it very interesting that they didn't really say a lot about the album itself. Everything was talking about performance. And, well, first things first, we're living in an era where, and I've been saying this over the past few months, first week sales don't matter. I think that I was talking about that while the Donda and Certified Lover Boy stuff was out. Because they were trying to make that another one of those 50 Cent Kanye West things where it was like, okay, we're going to measure the album's results numerically and crown that king. That didn't seem to work for either one of those albums. So first of all, I don't know why sales were even a conversation. And especially we were talking about an artist like Nas who's never, we never really gauged Nas on his sales. I mean, famously, Illmatic did like 50,000 in the first week, something very low. It took forever to go gold, and
the original. Illmatic, its original, like as far as 1994, it came out in April. I believe it moved 300,000 units in '94
in the whole year.
Yeah, from April to the end of the year, it moved 300,000 units. It didn't get gold, I think, until until the guest appearances in '95 happened for him, like the Cool G Rap, the Mobb Deep, the Ray, like all that. It went gold around that time, and then it went platinum around the time I think it was written. It really just, so it was never a big seller.
Okay. One thing that happened in this article too is the fact that I believe Magic went number 1 on iTunes the first week. That wasn't mentioned in this article. I found that interesting that was left off.
Well, let's talk about the overall synopsis of the article. It's not that they made an invalid critique because they pulled up factual numbers. Mm-hmm. But it kind of goes back to the fabric of what I've been saying. It's like, why y'all talking about Nas like Nas is just some sort of regular, run-of-the-mill hip-hop artist and not giving him the respect like other legends and other genres are giving, even if you're critiquing their material. One of the things to say about Nas is something that you just said. Well, Nas is somebody that hasn't really been determined in this culture by his record sales. So these sales are You get what I'm saying? There's so many avenues as journalists that they could have traveled to give him some respect still while saying all of these sales-driven factual things. And they conveniently left out other information that was positive, like him going number 1 on iTunes. So when you skew it from the manner of critiquing in that manner and then leaving out other pertinent numbers-driven information, well, now it looks like you have an agenda. And that's why we pulling up, even though we like them and respect them. It's well, they know what time it is. And so it's what y'all doing?
Well, the thing is, it's okay, like you said, why is this even the lead in? And why wasn't it more about actually reviewing the album as opposed to this critique? And because I still haven't seen a review from any of these publications in regards to Magic. Do you mind if I read some of the article, for the people who, might not have it pulled up?
Yeah, run it.
Yeah. That's why I was over here. I was looking it up on my other computer.
So
it says Nas and Hit-Boy surprise Magic album makes dismal Billboard 200 debut. Nas and Hit-Boy announced their collaborative album Magic just one day before its December 24th release, and less than 5 months after King's Disease 2. Boasting 9 tracks, the album features just 2 guests, DJ Premier and A$AP Rocky, and came with the promise of King's Disease 3 on the song Ugly. Now, Magic has made the Billboard 200 debut, but it didn't exactly dazzle, at least not yet. According to Billboard, the project moved over 22,000 total album equivalent units in its opening week, landing at number 30. By comparison, King's Disease 2 landed at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and approximately 56,000 total album equivalent units moved. While the Modest debut could be attributed to the holidays and its Friday release, Playboi Carti earned a number one album with Whole Lotta Red, which was released on Christmas Day in 2020, although the holiday fell on a Friday. I don't understand why that was even done, but okay. I'm going to get to that in a minute. Unlike Magic, Nas was able to do plenty of interviews ahead of following King's Disease 2's arrival. In December 2021, Nas spoke about the album in an interview with Vice ID, which he agreed the project was really focused on his legacy as an MC. Then they got the quote from there where it says, I thought that it should give people some insight into where I've been and where I'm going, he said about the album, but also at the same time just expressing what I'm feeling and how the day is and where I am at this age at these days, and how happy that I was just to be in the comfort zone and make music, and at this place where I am in my life, I'm happy to give people that experience. More specifically, Nas talked about the track Death Row East, which the rest of this is about King's Disease 2.
So, Mike, so you want to know what happened? And this is what I mean, and this is why we pulling up. And we've been pulling up about this a lot. They ain't doing no work over the holiday. That's what this is about. They went and pulled quotes that were more related to King's Disease 2, because doing stuff concerning Magic would have required them to listen to Magic multiple times, do an adequate, proper review, and go get some relevant and current quotes related to Magic. They didn't do their job. Like, they didn't do the work. It was the holiday and they didn't do the work, so they just threw something together. And it's like, this is what I keep saying. No, like, you don't just throw something together for Nas. Like, y'all not more important than Nas to this culture, so you don't carry him in that manner.
This was a bunch of nothing. In my opinion, this was, not to interrupt you, this was a bunch of nothing. It's like,
that's what I mean, Mike. They didn't do any work. It's a bunch of nothing. They just threw a whole bunch of work. They didn't, Mike. It doesn't. We're gonna get to.
First, you say he did. First, you said that okay, it did drop on Christmas Eve. Well, first of all, they put it out there that they that he gave everybody a day's notice, right? And then you said it dropped on Christmas Eve. And then you want to bring the caveat that I didn't like, where they brought up Playboi Carti's album dropping on Christmas Day last year, which had 24 songs, by the way. And if we're talking in streaming units, obviously a 24-song record is going to get played a lot more than a 9-song record, right? So, come on, man. And Christmas Day is different than Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day was on a Friday last year. So
no, Mike, this is what I mean about they didn't do any work. Like, this is simple journalistic stuff. Because they didn't want to do the work, they're like, oh, well, that's related to whatever hip-hop project came out around this time last year. They skipped the work of working on the project.
You know what? It feels like, and this is where I'm coming from with it, and I'm sure that, you know, everybody who reached out to us about this actual article feels a similar way. It feels like it would have just been less work to actually review the album, as opposed to pulling a bunch of nothingness and trying to get a catchy title to say that basically Nas and Hit-Boy fell off with this album.
So now let's go ahead and get to this. Well, in moments like these, this feeds that whole agenda where it just seems like, yo, they really don't want somebody like Nas on top of this game. It literally is against everything that certain powers that be are for, because of the things that he's for and represents. And it shows itself in these moments within our community.
Who wrote this article? It says Kyle Estes. Let's see. I want y'all to see who wrote this. Is that Kyle? That looks like a woman. I don't know.
I mean, I don't. I mean, I care who wrote it, but I don't, because it's the whole narrative again that we keep having to discuss about a few things. But and this is the thing about it. Nas is the target of this, other than legendary MCs. Like I've been saying, it's like no other legend gets treated this way, but it's like no legend should get treated this way. They don't get treated this way in any other genre.
It's phenomenal, man. Listen, someone reached out to me yesterday and was like, look, you need to listen to this Juan Epstein podcast with Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds. And they were talking about Magic. And they had less than favorable things to say about it, which is fine. Everybody could have their own critiques. But I was like, I want to check out the show. I sent you the link to the show. And it was a very, very interesting take on the album, because it seemed like, first of all, the criticism was there. And then when they start playing the records, they had to damn near justify their criticisms to their live audience, because they were playing. I will give Rosenberg this. I don't know if he was just randomly playing stuff, but he was playing some good clips. Because I didn't know if they were good. You can't really pull bad spots from Magic anyway. But when he start playing the verses, it's like, nigga, he's snapping. What is your problem? And then it became about song structure. So it just started to feel like you guys are grasping at straws to find a way to make these Nas albums not feel like they're as good as they actually are. And on this show, and people could probably go back to our old episodes, I've picked at you as a Nas fan and other Nas fans to say, look, Nas fans think anything that Nas makes is great. Me as a person that's trying to be as balanced as possible, I'm not saying this stuff is great just to say it. The way he's rapping on Magic is special. And I'm not just saying, I'm not one of those Nas fans that thinks anything he does is great. I even got, because I was in the comment section from one of our previous episodes, we were talking about all the albums that him and Jay made. And we were talking about Untitled, Hip Hop is Dead, and Street's Disciple kind of being a down period for him. Yeah, some people in the comments were like, yo, those are my favorite albums. And
Mike, I saw those people making those comments. I didn't call any of those people crazy, like outright crazy, but I let them know that no, that's some mid.
And I get that. And there is a lot of that out there when it comes to Nas. But this right here is not it. This is the real.
Mike, Magic is better than all three of those projects put together, Mike.
No, I've been listening to Magic again, and like I said, it was funny listening to Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds, because they were playing the songs on their show, and I'm like, yeah, this shit sounds even better than I thought it did. And Rosenberg was like, well, this sounds better right now than it was when I was playing it in my car, or something he said.
Mike, it's so problematic. Let me tell you what I heard. And it goes back to the HipHopDX article, too. Mm-hmm. They haven't really even listened to the album like that, Mike. Like, I realized when Rosenberg was talking, it's like, man, this is your second time hearing all of this.
Right.
You haven't been doing the work. Once again, Mike, we talking about the work. And it's not like the work is complicated. The work is to listen to the music multiple times and come up with an objective and valid critique about it. The critiques weren't valid because it was just blatantly obvious to anybody who knows hip hop or knows anything about journalism. Oh, he hadn't listened to these records like that to be giving out those critiques. And so he started backpedaling almost as soon as he started pedaling forward, because he was realizing on the second listen, like, oh shit, this shit is slapping. And let me tell you what's going on when he's listening to a car. He's probably taking phone calls. He might have somebody with him. He's talking. He ain't heard this project, Mike.
That happens to me, so I know.
Right, yeah. and then they both pretty much went into get off my lawn mode, talking about, well, if Primo and Nas don't make New York State of Mind or something better, it's like, are you high right now? Like if you are, share it with us, because when you're comparing like wanting Nas in 2021 to do something comparable to New York State of Mind, Mike, lyrically, in terms of Mike performances, Mike, there probably haven't been 10 records like New York State of Mind since New York State of Mind got made.
Well, see, this is the thing too.
What are you talking about?
On top of that, this is my theory when it comes to just growing up and just being impressionable and being a hip hop fan. I heard Cypher Sound say that basically New York State of Mind, part 1, it moved him to damn near tears, and he wants something to hit him like that. Listen, that was 27 years ago. I don't know how old Cypher Sound is now,
he hit us
but
all like that.
But I'm saying he was at a very impressionable age anyway. So I have this theory that the best hip hop that you ever hear is going to come out, at least to you, is going to come out between your ages of 12 and 20 or 18, 20. Nothing's going to hit me like shadowboxing anymore. It's just not. You know what I'm saying? Even if somebody made something that was comparable to it, I could respect it, but it's not going to hit me like I was 14 anymore. So quit holding Nas to standards of your own individual impressionablism.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like that's what's so dangerous about what they just did. Mike, I was 13 when Illmatic came out. I know what he's talking about with New York State of Mind, but Mike, I'm also going to tell you something. As soon as he said that Represent was the second best Primo Nas joint, I was like, you're just a New York guy that wants Nas to do his New York shit.
Yeah.
You don't, like, because Represent isn't like the second or third best Nas Primo pairing. It's probably like fourth or fifth. It's the third best Nas Primo pairing on that album.
Well, you could tell that Rosenberg is slightly younger than Cypher Sounds too, because of how high he held New York State of Mind Part 2 and Nas is Like. You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with him on the Nas is Like, not with him totally on the New York State of Mind too. The beat is there. Nas
I love New York State of Mind.
Now, if you want to make a critique about Nas not reaching a level, for me, he didn't reach the level lyrically on New York State of Mind Part 2 that he did on Part 1, and Primo came through beat-wise more than Nas came through lyrically. Like, Nas is Like, though? Oh, no. That's a 10 out of 10.
I think it's the second best song they made together.
But what, Nas is Like?
Yeah.
That depends on how you feel. Just me as a Nas fan, I would probably
go right. Yeah,
I would probably put "I Gave You Power" right ahead of Nas is Like, so I probably have Nas is Like at fourth. I think Memory Lane is special record though.
The thing about "I Gave You Power" for me is like the beat's not that special to me.
It's not that it's not special. It's that you don't know that it's Preem. No, I said you don't know that it's Preem, but Mike, like I said, lyrically, Mike, I mean, don't show me a better 3 verses than I Gave You Power.
I Gave You Power, beat-wise, sounds like it could have been on Reasonable Doubt. Is that fair? When you listen to it, that sounds like Friend or Foe-ish. You know what I'm saying?
I was about to say it sounds Friend or Foe 98-ish. So if you want to go like 97, like Volume 1, like it sounds more Rhyme No More and Friend or Foe 98, like to me, if we were like picking like some of the J records that he freaked.
And again, man, you know, I know people are probably going to continue to go to this channel and be like, man, y'all just need to get off of Nas's nuts or whatever. I'm not one of those type of Nas fans. And I've got to be honest. No one holds any of these other MCs to that standard that we seem to hold Nas to.
Mike,
we shouldn't even be talking about
going around asking him to make the evils.
No. Listen, Jay-Z literally doesn't even never rap the same as he did on his first album, and no one ever says anything about that.
Mike, do people ask Rakim to remake Eric B as president, or Lyrics of Fury, or Follow the... Like, no, they don't ask this out of any other icon. Is everybody asking Ice Cube to go make Today Was a Good Day?
But see what it's become, though.
Are we asking Scarface to make Hand of the Dead Body and Never Seen a Man Die?
Am
I playing tricks on me? We don't ask Face to do that.
What's dangerous, though, Coop, and what this has become is and we've seen it with Magic, even when Nas comes with a dope album, y'all find a way to criticize it using Illmatic. And that's the part that's not okay. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I get it. But at the same time, let's not sit here and use Illmatic as a way to dismiss some really good work.
Mike. And so even when he was talking about like the level that Illmatic is on, like has a classic, it's like, okay, Mike, let me break it down. There's like, there's 7 heavens, Mike, but God's on the 3rd heaven. So like, if we're tearing classics off, like Illmatic belongs in the 3rd heaven. So like, I get what he's saying. That doesn't mean that there's not other heavens, like where there's other classics lie. So Magic's not in Illmatic level, it's not in that 3rd tier, but Mike, that doesn't mean that it can't be classic. Like, I'll tell you something, it's like, I don't consider The College Dropout to be like a classic, the likes of Doggy Style or Aquemini or The Purple Tape, but it's still a classic, Mike. It's just a different tier, and it seems like they just hold Nas to this tier where it's like, well, if you don't do that, it's not classic. And it's like, no, like Mike, Scarface made The Diary, that's 94, right? Same year Illmatic came out, right? End of 94, November 94 is The Diary, right?
Right.
Scarface ain't made nothing like The Diary since The Diary, but every time Scarface make a classic album, we call it classic and we treat Face like Face. You feel me? Because we understand that he doesn't have to make The Diary again.
We don't do that to anybody else. We don't do that
we got Master the Dying Breed.
Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? And every time he drop classic shit, we like, there go Face dropping classic shit.
Yeah.
When Jay drop classic shit, we like, there go Jay dropping classic shit. When Nas drop classic shit, we be like, well, it's not Illmatic. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Illmatic shouldn't even...
Illmatic
shouldn't even come up in the conversation. And you know what? And the fact
I'm a big Nas fan. Let it go. Let it go. Grow up.
And the fact that it continuously comes up, or it even came up in this conversation, I'm talking about Rosenberg and Cypher Sound's conversation, lets you know that A, Magic is a strong effort, and B, you guys probably didn't listen to the album like that.
Listen to the album.
The thing is, too, I don't like the fact that when he was actually playing the records during the podcast, obviously people in the chat were not going along with what they were saying. Then he had to say, well, don't get me wrong. Nas is rhyming on a high level here. Like, he's spitting, but it's the song structure. Now, come on now.
So Mike.
Come on now. We're talking about hip-hop music.
Mike,
we're talking about song structure. And he brought up Kanye's Jail song as the example.
Mike. No, Mike, it's the fact that they brought up the Kanye produced song, Everything, when I was like, okay, y'all are desperate. So let me tell you something about a record like that that's great. Kanye could have laid that and could have had that lace for anybody. We don't know who that was for. Nas was probably at the right place in the right time. The things that are great about that record is the song structure, but that is what's great about that record is the melody and the song structure. Nothing else about that record is really epic or classic Nas. It's not a record people go to like they go to, I don't know, Death Row East, Mike. So when they bring it up, everything.
Well, he brought that up and spoke favorably about that one too, though.
Mike, when they brought up everything and was like, well, Hit-Boy's not putting stuff together like this for Nas. I'm like, so you didn't just hear Death Row East or Nobody or Store Run.
But the funny part about that is, though, Coop, they did bring up Death Row East, and Rosenberg pointed that out as a song that was great song structure, but
it's better than Everything, Mike. It blows everything out the water. What is he talking about?
Listen, I like Everything, and I know we did a show months ago talking about the fact that Nasir is quite slept on for whatever reason, but I like Everything on this album more than Everything. If we're going to sit here and say what song you want to listen to, I'm not going to sit here and get all nerdy and say, okay, well, I need choruses here, I need this and this here. Niggas ain't doing that for like when they listen to the Living Proof by Group Home, are they?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mike, like, so why are we doing this to Nas?
Mike, the only record on here that Everything is better than on Magic is Woo for the Children. That is the weakest record on here. Everything's better than that. Every other record on here is better than Everything. But they don't know that, Mike, because they didn't really listen to the record.
I was waiting on them to talk about the truth. No one talked about the truth.
They didn't even bring up the truth. That's how I know they didn't listen to the record. And also, too, they didn't even make it to the end of the album, Mike. I think they stopped after the Primo cut because they spent so much time criticizing the Primo cut. I'm like, oh, that's when y'all stopped listening.
Oh, the criticism of the Primo cut was crazy. Is the fact that what are all of these different samples come together and make sense? Like, no one in the hook said Wave Gods. I was like, what?
Mike, DJ Premier has been doing that on tracks almost our entire lives. And they've been around longer than we have. What are they talking about once again?
Man, everyone is, everyone has their own opinion. And I love the fact that we do have the internet and people have their own microphones and are able to engage with audiences and express their own opinions. But they sounded crazy. They sounded like they were criticizing it just to criticize. And like you said, sound like they didn't even listen to it. Didn't even give it the time of day.
No, Mike, I'm telling you from his response, like, Mike, if you watch, Mike, what Siegel say on Feeling in the Air? Read their body language. 85% of communication nonverbal. Look at his nonverbal reactions when he's listening to the records again. He's like, you can see him kind of like, oh shit, I really didn't listen to this. No, you didn't.
Well, you know what? Right. It's interesting because I listen to the podcast on my mobile And I found the actual link after the fact, so I didn't see what you saw.
Nah, I want to see you.
Yeah,
your nonverbal tell me everything. People sit up there and get on. Want to see your nonverbal. He was like surprised at how great Nas was sounding and how those records were coming together. It's because you didn't listen. Now, you got a big enough following. Go ahead and be honest. Be like, hey, it was the holidays. I was with my family. Had a lot going on. I really haven't given this a clear listen. I'm gonna come back with a clear listen.
Well, I think the criticism started when they start hearing nothing but great things about the album, and then that's when they started kind of going into their. Well, I mean, listen, I'll at least give Rosenberg this. I'll give Rosenberg this. Rosenberg actually was trying to bring the album in the conversation and speak to the album. You could tell Cypher Sounds was just totally like, I ain't fucking with no Nas shit. That's what I got from him.
Mike, this is what they did. Mike, they started hearing about Magic. You see that album at the top? That's what they did. They just went straight to Illmatic. As soon as they heard people saying great stuff about Magic, like they always do, they went straight up there.
And I get it. There's levels, man. And for me, when you got somebody like, let's just say Redman, to me, that level is Muddy Waters. When you got somebody like Ghostface, his level for me is Supreme Clientele. And it's like, I'm not going to sit here and dismiss anything that they make outside of that. And the fact that they were conceding the fact that he was rhyming his ass off on this album and there was nothing else you could go to but song structure, it kind of comes across as hating. And at that point, it makes me wonder, like, okay, who sent you to hate on this Nas album and why?
So now,
or do you just want to hate on the Nas album for no reason?
So, Mike, how they start off this podcast? Sitting up here praising Jay, talking over the intro to Volume 3. They praising Jay, talking over the intro to Volume 3. And then 40 minutes later, they go criticize Magic. I'm just saying.
Well, before they did that, Rosenberg, he criticized Forever Young and Empire.
Oh, he said it was terrible because it is. No.
It is terrible.
It was terrible because it is.
I've always said that song's terrible. I never liked that record. And
no, the song's terrible. But did you hear how he referenced Jay has, like, even when this is what I mean about showing respect. He was being disrespectful, but listen to how he framed it. If you were to tell people this is the greatest MC of all time, when he's talking about Nas, he says he's one of the greats. He's one of the greatest.
You're
when
right.
He talks about Jay, greatest of all time. You see how the conversation is skewed? I told you we ain't handing out no hall passes. I ain't handing out no hall passes. Somebody been in the game for 20 years. Like, I don't. No,
well, this is the thing. This is the thing. And it's funny you mention it like that.
How you doing? What up?
It's funny you mention it like that because Nas isn't one of the greatest. I mean, he just is the greatest of all time.
Right. Why you?
And the other part that was interesting. The other part that was interesting about what Rosenberg said too, he conceded the fact that Jay-Z's hit records and most notable records are his corniest records. So, with that being said, in this whole Verzuz conversation, that's why I want to know if Jay's gonna do a Verzuz, and if he does a Verzuz, what songs are going to be played. Because Money Cash Hoes is not going to play as well as you think it's going to play in 2022 or whatever. And if it does, it'll be because, we no longer have DMX here. Rest in peace to DMX. But honestly, those songs just didn't age that well. And that's just the God honest truth. And that's why he keeps harping on the B-sides, because those are the stronger records.
So it kind of sounds like, Mike, let's just be honest. They were both making statements and sentiment that we've been making in prior shows about some of these matters, but that's neither here nor there.
Of course.
But here's the thing about it. It's like they're framing it as if, like, Jay sits on this pedestal that Nas doesn't sit on. And it's like, well, if anything, at this point on a bad day, even if you're objective, it's equal footing. So just kind of give it some equal footing. And it's like their refusal to is what makes people think that there is some sort of agenda to it.
I'm going to be honest, man. And even since we've started this show, I think when I went to, I think it was the Jay-Z and Friends concert in Atlanta. That might have been like back in 2002. It was like between Blueprint 2 and the Black Album. And Jay-Z went up there, had a whole bunch of guests too, by the way. But he went up there for like 2.5 hours. Killed the show. And you could just see his level with the other performers' level and all that. And ever since that day, I said Jay-Z was the greatest ever. And he kept going. He kept going. But I'm going to tell you right now, based on King's Disease 2, Magic, and we sit here looking at the catalogs, and we look at what certain people were in the 90s, 2000s, collectively, got distant relatives. Nas is better than Jay-Z. It's what it is. And, and I'm saying this as a person who has said Jay-Z was the greatest for like probably 15 years straight now, or probably longer than that. I'm just going to be honest. At this moment and at this juncture, until proven otherwise, that number one spot goes to Nasir Jones. It's what it is.
Yeah, because, Mike, he really, like with these last 3 projects, he covered it on both sides. So do you remember what Star told us last year about Nas in relationship to how he didn't have Nas up there the way we did because of Rakim?
Uh-huh.
Well, Mike, the guy that made KD1, KD2, and Magic sounds nothing like Rakim.
No, that's real.
You feel me? So you get what I'm saying? He got it on both sides. Now, like the guys that they're saying Rakim, it's like, nah, Rakim don't got it like this on this end. It's not sounding like this late. And for the Jay guys, it's like you can go to the catalog. But Mike, he said something that I've been saying, which is like Jay's best stuff is his B-sides. If your best stuff is your B-sides, you about to lose to Nas. Nas is the king of the great B-sides. His B-sides is the stuff of legend and lost tapes, Mike.
Even when I was saying Jay was the greatest, I would concede to that, even then. But
you
now,
don't want to play them B-sides? The B-sides are not going to sound as great when you play them up against the guy who makes the greatest B-sides. That's what I've been saying the whole time.
Now listen, if Nas would have hung it up or did similar things that Jay has done since like over the past 10 years and not been active like that, do a song here and there, yeah, maybe Jay would still be ahead. But the fact that all we got is 444, Holy Grail, and Everything Is Love in the past 10 years, and for this guy, we got Distant Relatives. I left out Watch the Throne. But again, you know how I feel about Watch the Throne, because you're sitting here with one of the greats on that one too, and he's leading the show. But yeah, but when you go that against Distant Relatives, Nasir, Lost Tapes 2, KD, KD2, and now Magic, I would be a fool and a liar to sit here and say that Jay-Z is still leading that race, because he's not.
You left out Life is Good, Mike.
I left out Life is Good. I forgot all about Life is Good. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, Mike.
It's just so much quality material, man.
Mike, people were talking about Life is Good as a potential top 5 Nas album when it came out. It's like on the back. It might be like 9 or 10 right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane.
No, it is insane. I mean, it's been a great run for him because he's had like 3 different careers within this, and it's just like we just need to like cover it properly and give it its due, Mike. I told you, Mike, when I heard Death Row East, it was like, this is over. I was like, he don't got nothing for this because Mike, when Nas is doing what Nas is doing, it can make you bop your head and want to dance. Oh, it's over. It's over.
Well, you know what? Let's get back to the subject.
Got him making records like that. Like, Mike, the truth is something you can ride and bob your head to, but it's still Nas doing Nas stuff. That's what I mean. Hit-Boy got Nas in a place where he ain't even really been consistently, where it's like you find yourself listening to him and being great, but you're riding to his shit too.
They weren't supposed to make this album, and KD2 wasn't supposed to be as good as it was, because the fact that not only are people trying to find a way, the ones that choose to talk about it, trying to find a way to make you feel like you didn't just hear what you heard. You heard something else. That's one thing. But the other thing is the fact that people are neglecting to even review this album. None of the major publications have reviewed this album. And the only reviews I've seen for this album, and they were favorable, were like from Clash Magazine, some publications that aren't that big. But the ones that usually jump on these reviews the day of the release or 2 days after the release, we see nothing from. And I think that's very disappointing too from HipHopDX, and the fact that we haven't gotten a review from HipHopDX, but we get an article about its first week sales. You've had this for a week and a half now.
Do you know what that is? Because because KD2 didn't get as much like run as it shouldn't have gotten, positive review like it shouldn't have gotten.
Right.
But Mike, what you really do, if you review KD2 and Magic the way they're supposed to be reviewed, well, in the process of that, you have to see that this guy is the greatest MC of all time, and that's why they're not covering it.
Exactly.
They don't want to see the fact that this is the greatest MC of all time, so they're trying to act like it's not happening.
This isn't happening. They look
like
you didn't hear what you just heard.
Right, that's what they're trying to do, or they're trying to make it seem like, oh, well, it's not as Illmatic. Well, neither was it. Was written, the Lost Tapes, Godson.
Oh, well, it didn't sell
like,
any.
none of those are Illmatic. You want to know what else isn't Illmatic, Mike? Reasonable Doubt's not Illmatic. Ready to Die's not Illmatic.
Right. And then on top of that,
is not Illmatic.
And then on top of that, Coop, they're like, oh, it didn't sell any records. Nobody heard this. So, so what happens if you go out there and you have to give KD2 the praise it deserves, and then you have to go out there and be unbiased about Magic? So what happens to this other guy that y'all say is untouchable?
Mike, Death Row East is a knockout blow. I told you this conversation been over since Death Row East. That's track 2 on KD2. This conversation been over since then.
TD says KD2 had great reviews. Did it? Because Pitchfork Media gave Pepper Pig more stars than that album, and we had to call them out for it.
When you say great reviews, anybody that rated it less than an 8.5 didn't rate it objectively or right. So no, it didn't get great reviews.
Well, you know what?
In that regard.
I'm in front of my computer. We can find that out right now. I can go to Metacritic and find out what everybody rated this album.
Yeah, go ahead and hit it up. Well, didn't Aquemini get the highest hip hop rating ever on Metacritic? And to Pimp a Butterfly shortly after that. So
King's Disease 2, with a cumulative score, it was favorable. It was 86 out of 100.
Okay, so that's over 8.5. Yeah.
Clash gave that one 7 out of 10, where they gave Magic 9 out of 10.
Okay.
Let's see. King's Disease, the first one, its Metacritic a cumulative score was 72 out of 100.
That's a little low. I would give it more 80-ish if I was just looking all things.
Pitchfork gave that higher than they gave KD2. But
Pitchfork
they don't know
had some bad things.
Was it? No, it was Rolling Stone that had some bad things to say about King's Disease 1. They said they're the worst.
They're the worst. They're the worst.
You know what? They ranked Playboi Carti's album, Whole Lotta Red, #1 album of 2021. And I'm gonna be perfectly honest. And I know we listen to music from all eras. That Playboi Carti album is trash. I don't care what anyone says. Man, I can't. It sounds like noise. You're gonna sit here and give that the #1 hip hop album of 2021?
They don't know what they're doing. I mean, I don't.
They gave Lil Nas X like #6 too. So take
that
for whatever you want to take it for.
They whack. So.
Yeah, nobody's rating Magic. I'm sitting here looking for the cumulative scores for Magic. They just say, you know what, we're not even gonna rate this one, but Mike, we are gonna tell you what the first week sales are.
Mike, they walking with their head down, scared to look. They shook.
It's amazing, man. It really is, and I'm glad that we're here to talk to the people, and I'm glad the people are actually able to talk to us, so we know that we're not tripping. And I know Rosenberg and Cypher Sound saw that too when they were doing their show and trying to come up with, critiques out of nowhere. People were telling them like, "No, this is flames, man. This is fire."
Mike, people think we're like flagshipping for Nas, and it's like we're kind of like stressing the point that it's like, nah, we're doing what we're supposed to do. These other people aren't doing what they're supposed to do. It makes it look like we're riding harder than we actually are. We're actually doing our jobs and giving it the due that it deserves. Because, Mike, last year, all we talked about was Griselda because they ran it.
Yep.
This year, all we talked about is Nas because Nas ran it. We give the due where it goes. What you're finding, if you listen to us and then go listen to everybody else, is that there's a lot of politics and bullshit going on.
I feel
that's
like
preventing people from doing their job, and some people just outright ain't doing their job, like not listening to the album over the holidays. Okay,
you know what? I feel like also to piggyback off of that, even when we talk about somebody like Skyzoo's album, like, you know what I'm saying, it's not a lot of people talking about those efforts. We gave that album the, you know, the praise that it deserves, because it's a wonderful piece of work. Same thing with Isaiah Rashad.
It's in both of our top 5s for album of the year still, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah, because it deserves to be. So we're gonna treat it like such.
It's incredible.
You know
album.
what I mean?
And you know, so it's interesting, man. And you know, I didn't really understand that the media was so much against Nas until we really started covering it. And then you look at this Magic thing, and no one is saying anything. I'm still looking for reviews from this. Like
I told you, Mike. I told you this been going on since that 1996 vibe. It was written review.
And you know, the most disgusting part about it is they find a way to use Nas's incredible debut album against him in any given facet. What they did on Rosenberg and Cypher Sounds podcast was textbook. That was textbook. We're gonna bring up Illmatic, so maybe somehow we can discredit this new project. That's fucked up, man.
See, but that's what I'm saying is that, like, well, no, that's not the guy that wrote Illmatic. First of all, the guy that wrote Illmatic, that album came out when he was 19. He wrote that album between the ages of probably 15 to 18. Mike, that kid don't exist anymore.
No.
But Mike, on Magic, I keep trying to say, oh, the MC who made Take It in Blood, Nas is like, oh no, he exists on this album in 2021. I don't care about Illmatic.
Who's done that, though?
Within itself. That's a feat within itself. The guy that made Take It in Blood and Nas is like, sounds like it 20 more plus years later. Give me that.
I tell you what, man, I don't care about song structure. If I can hear the Ghostface intensity that I hear on Supreme Clientele 1, on Supreme Clientele 2, I don't care what the beats sound like. You know what I'm saying? Like,
the beats aren't bad. The beats on here are dope.
I know, but I'm just saying that's where they always try to go, because that's the narrative. Like, and you know, and that's furthering that narrative too, talking about song structure, when you know that the narrative out there is Nas is the worst beat picker, blah blah blah, which is clearly untrue as well.
I don't think people understand that this project probably got put together because they're in a zone and they just started doing takes and was like, oh no, we need to be keeping this shit crazy.
These are extras. This is like,
these are extras.
This is like I'm putting out lost tapes as they're being made.
Yes, this is current lost tapes. This is like, no, you're not going to lose these. You're not going to lose Ugly the way you lost Do-Rags. You get what I'm saying? You're not going to lose The Truth the way you lost No Ideas Original, where he's spazzing. Like
Jevin June says, I'm convinced that according to hip hop is the only media that matters. These people are all bought and paid for. Hey, man.
I'm not going to say it like that because that's just disrespectful. But all I'm saying is that we're just doing our job. We're listening to the albums multiple times. We're giving out appropriate reviews where they are deserved.
It's like, not, no. I don't think it's disrespectful to say people are bought and paid for. They are.
Well, no. I meant the part about like how we're the only ones that matter. No. These motherfuckers bought and paid for.
Yeah, they're bought and paid for. And so, you know, again, I don't get a check from Jay-Z. And, you know, as not saying I wouldn't take a check from Jay-Z if it made sense. But I'm just being honest, man.
Mike, you can go ahead and put that on the list of things that's never happening for me or for you. I definitely, is the Rock Nation brunch happening? Like, isn't it about the time?
No,
you're not getting no invite. I've been practicing my pose. I got a new watch. Nope.
All jokes aside, I would love to attend the Rock Nation brunch. That's not going to change my whole viewpoint on hip hop. You know what I mean? I still hold Jay high, but I'm not going to sit here and hold him high to a level like no one is even near him, because that's not factual. Because we've lined up the catalogs. And, you know, and I think that also, I think Verzuz is a great platform that if that is the case, you can test that theory out. I mean, test it out. If he's so above everybody, do the Verzuz. We all know who it should be against, and it's not Lil Wayne. I personally don't think he would beat Kanye West, to be perfectly honest with you.
Hey, Mike, you gotta be careful about what you say. So, like, how Rosenberg and them was bringing in the intro to Volume 3.
Mm-hmm.
You know what he said on the outro, right? Pull your CDs out. Let's go song for song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the illest nigga doing it till you prove me wrong. Pull
There
them
you
out.
go. Pull them out.
Pull them out. Pull them out.
Listen, I think the only way Nas would lose is if Nas would match up his Big Pimpin' with like You Owe Me, but he wouldn't do that.
Mike, the only thing that he has to do as far as post-Illmatic tracks, the only singles that are post-Illmatic tracks that he needs to play are Made You Look and Nas Is Like. He don't even got to play any of his singles. If he plays Made You Look and Nas Is Like his singles, some stuff from Illmatic and his B-sides, that's it, Mike.
You
That's
know,
it.
I'm really heavy on DOA, right? I like Death or Auto-Tune a whole lot. But
Oh, no, he doesn't stand a chance.
I'm being honest though. I think if Thief's theme went up against Death or Auto-Tune,
You know what I'm saying?
I think
Like,
Thief's theme is better than that song.
I forgot
and I
about
like
Thief's theme.
DOA
Like,
a
he
lot.
could do Thief's theme too. How about this? He could do Thief's theme too, but even with that being said, Mike, I don't even think that's one of his 20 best records. That's
I
what
don't
I mean.
think so
He got-
either. I just
got
remember when I
stuff.
first heard Thief's theme and saw the video and he had the mask and shit. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? Like that feel that you get seeing the shadow boxing video or something like that. That's the feel you get when you get those hardcore Nas records.
Yeah, no, it is,
And-
man. Do you remember?
And it's incredible rhyming on top of that. Like,
You remember that unreleased track he put out? Where y'all at? Where he took the Made You Look sign? Where y'all gangsters at? Where
Yeah,
y'all
yeah, I
dimes
remember
at?
that.
Yeah, Mike, he got stuff like that. It's like it's epic and it's like never even going anywhere.
I don't even really like that song like that, man. Miss Mo's bringing up, well, no, not, Dak, I missed your comment, Miss Mo. But Tri Barrow said Silent Murder. And again, man,
That's Mike's favorite Nas record.
yeah, Silent Murder's my favorite.
That's
And
what I mean.
he
Mike.
wouldn't
What is-
even play that, though.
Mike, that's what I'm saying. Nas can play Take It in Blood, Silent Murder. Like, he can play stuff like that and win because, like, really don't nobody got nothing like that lyrically outside of that Prime Rock M stuff, and that Prime Rock M stuff don't run as deep as that Prime Nas stuff. So,
I know you got to go in a minute. I want to talk about that cannabis situation real quick, man. I saw, I don't even know if this is going to take us 5 minutes, but I saw the Bootleg Kev interview with Cannabis, and one thing that was interesting to me is Bootleg Kev asked him about LL shouting out Cannabis at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And Cannabis basically said that he wishes that they could have WWF'd it and they could have had somebody pull them to the side and made some money off of the battle or something to that degree. I found a whole lot wrong with that, and it was very disappointing that Cannabis came from that standpoint, in my opinion. I know you felt something different. I mean, should I go into mine real quick or?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
This is the thing, man. First of all, you and LL Cool J were not on the same level to the point where LL is going to sit here and WWF anything with you in 1998. That's first of all. And the way Cannabis said it, it's like, yeah, he owed me that. That was first off. But second off, and maybe this should have been first off, I heard the phone conversation where LL Cool J did pull you to the side and said, don't put this out. Don't let these people gas you up. And you sat there and was like, yeah, man, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry, this and that. And LL said, look, we'll come together. We'll do like a B-side record or whatever and put it on one of the mixtapes and everybody's good. And we'll show that unity. And Cannabis said, cool, that's what's up. And then put out Second Round Knockout anyway.
Okay.
So to sit there in this interview and act like you weren't pulled to the side and not even acknowledge the fact that, you know what, I just messed up, I got some bad advice, I think is very dishonest.
Okay, so let me speak about this so we can wrap this up right quick. So what I did like about what he was saying is because he was speaking about the lack of unity and the gossipy and just kind of finicky behavior that takes place in this industry. So he was speaking to a lack of unity and cohesiveness in terms of getting money together and allocating funds and resources. And from that perspective, I do agree with him. I agree with all Black people in all forms and walks of life that are trying to galvanize within their industries that way. But
LL said all that on that phone call too.
Well, here's what I want to submit to you. Here's what I want to submit to you, because I have a personal story. He's conveniently forgetting about how he was and how he behaved in that time. I met him when I was in high school when he had his buzz. I had a friend. We worked at a record store together. I got him the job at the record store. We used to go to local ciphers in Charlotte together. He used to live in Rock Hill and take me down to Rock Hill for other ciphers. Cannabis was his favorite MC. Cannabis was a guest at our record store. We met a lot of people in there. My guy approached Cannabis. It was probably the rudest I've ever seen an MC treat a fan. He almost had my guy in tears, to the point, Mike, and I've always been who I am. I rolled up and said something to him, and his security rolled up on me. My manager had to pull me to the back, but he was a whole motherfucker, to the point that I was down to lose my job and box with him that day. He forget how he was behaving at the time, acting like he really was about to be the next Rakim, the next Nas. I seen it live. My general manager had to pull me into the back for 15 minutes because I was about to be on that ass at 16.
You remember that round table or whatnot when it was him, Big Pun, Mos Def, DMX, and
I remember very well.
I remember distinctively at the time, he was like, I'm going anchor. I earned that. That type of stuff. It was, yeah, I mean, I never met Cannabis around that time or any of that.
I did.
But I could see that type of stuff. And even in this interview, with the fact that he was talking like him and LL were on the same level, I was like, yeah, this arrogance is still there.
No, it was high, Mike. It was Mike, the record store used to be a warehouse. When he walked in, he's about 5'5", maybe like 140, but his arrogance filled up the whole warehouse immediately.
But that was the first thing that I saw in that interview. I was like, yeah, the arrogance is still there.
Still there. Yeah.
And yeah.
So he's conveniently leaving that part out.
Yeah. And I hate to say it, and I always felt like LL did him wrong. Now I don't feel that way.
Nah.
I don't feel that way. I think, especially after hearing that phone call, how humbled he was on the phone call with LL. And LL said everything that you said about, look, we need to show a sign of unity, yada, yada. And you said, cool, and then put the record out anyway.
Because you want to know what, Mike? In 98, he thought LL was done and he was going to be the next Rakim. He like, yeah, this old dude think he got me. I ain't doing nothing with him. I got next right now.
But this was all WWF, right. I mean, WWE to him, man. And this interview showed that.
Mike, that's his hindsight because of what happened to him and where his arrogance got him. That's the hindsight of it. That's like Mike, when you read Ecclesiastes, that's like Solomon as an old man. Like, don't do this, don't do that. Well, he's saying don't do this and don't do that because he fucked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta go.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, we're going to talk Friday, man. We appreciate everybody coming in with us. We got like 200 people in here right now, man. But let's talk Friday. Page. Yes. While everybody is in here, make sure you subscribe to According to Hip Hop on YouTube. Hit the bell icon so you'll know when we're going live. And yeah, man, me and Coop are going to holler at y'all on Friday.
Already.
All right.